So in your previous session, we have started about introduction to routers, and we have made some list of points about routers, like what is router and type of routers, functions of routers, and Cisco router types, and Cisco router categories, and external components of router. So router is a layer 3 device, network layer device. It's enable communication between two or more different logical networks. And IP of the router is the default gateway for all devices in the LAN. It's an internetworking device. So these things we are discuss about what is router. Type of routers, fixed router and hardware router, right? And functions. It's internetwork communication, best path selection, packet switching, packet forwarding. What is packet switching? Anyone please answer? Packet switching
Sending
means
sending IP traffic from one interface to another within a router.
very good, very good. Packet forwarding,
Sending IP traffic between different routers.
yeah, one router to another router, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. And Cisco router types are fixed router and modular router. So what is the differences between fixed router and modular router?
Modular router,
Fixed routers are non-upgradable and modular routers are upgradable. Based on
Right, Sai Krishna. So fixed routers are non-upgradable. So ports are fixed. Speed is fixed. The ports are integrated to motherboards. But modular router we can upgrade based upon our requirement. We can upgrade LAN ports, we can upgrade WAN ports. So slots is there. So we can remove and we can replace with the new one, new cards, So modular router modifications we can do. And Cisco router categories is majorly differentiated into three categories like branch router, network edge router, and ISP router. Tell me one model number from branch routers.
800 series or
800,
2900.
2800
Yes,
series is,
yes. 2600, 2800 series, right? 2900
yeah,
series are the
that's
branch
right.
router. All right, next, external components of router. We have clearly discussed about majorly three components like a LAN interface, WAN interface, and admin interface. LAN interface used to connect local network to the switch, and LAN interface types are Ethernet, fast Ethernet, and gigabit Ethernet. And WAN port is used to connect wide area network to ISPs and branches, and normal serial port and smart serial port, high-speed WAN interface cards. And admin interfaces are console port and auxiliary port. So console port is used to initially configuration of router and advanced troubleshooting. And to use console port, you have to use console cable, or we can call it as a rollover cable, right? Auxiliary port for remote access, and we are not using much in nowadays in auxiliary port. We have services like a telnet and SSH services for remote access. So these all are external components of router. So today, let me continue with internal components of a router. Like inside the router, what type of components are available? We'll see that. Can anyone tell me please about PC internal components? Because of we are very familiar with PC components. Yeah,
yeah,
motherboard, processor,
hard disk,
RAM,
hard
Yeah.
disk,
hard disk drive,
SMBS.
ROM, SMPS. So these all are PC internal components. So what is motherboard? What is the purpose of motherboard is like your processor is connected to motherboard. RAM is connected to motherboard. Hard disk drive, ROM, SMPS,
SMBS.
your keyboard, mouse, like all hardware components are integrated to one centralized board called motherboard. Similarly, router also have the motherboard. LAN ports are connected to motherboard. WAN ports are connected to motherboard. Admin ports are connected to motherboard. Like all hardware components are connected to motherboard. And centralized board called what? Motherboard, right? Like every electronic device, there is a chip, there is a board. All components are connected to motherboard. Processor, like whatever through input devices, if you give input, we'll do the logical, arithmetic, logical processing, and it will give output to output devices. So processing purpose, we have processor. Even in router also we have processor is it. Router functions like is packet switching, forwarding, best path selection, and protocols, routing protocol algorithms is running. Is all the processing is done by router processor. So router also have the processor is it. And RAM. What is the use of RAM for PCs?
To open the apps.
Yes.
Speed.
Speed. Okay.
Speed.
Yeah. Okay. See, we have a pen drive. Let's say have a 16 GB pen drive. Have a hard disk drive. Let's say 500 GB hard disk drive. And we have a RAM, 4 GB RAM. See, what is the use of pen drive?
Store the data.
To store the data. So means 16 GB data we can store in your pen drives. Okay. Then what is the purpose of hard disk drive?
Temporary storage and permanent storage.
Even hard disk drive also for storage, right? So 500 GB of data we can store in the hard disk drive. So here 16 GB for storage. Here 500 GB for storage. Then what about this 4 GB?
For usage.
For
We
process.
are telling is speed. What is the missing logic here?
Volatile.
So
actually.
16 GB storage, 500 GB storage, 4 GB is also is what storage actually. RAM is also storage component. Then why people will think about it is speed? You know why? Because of, let's consider I have installed in my PC RAM. Let's say it is a 2 GB RAM I have installed. Okay. And computers works with operating system and some applications will be there and we used to install some softwares. Now once if you switch on your computer, if you switch on your PC, then primarily like your OS will be loaded into your RAM. Applications will be loaded into RAM. Softwares will load into RAM. Let's consider OS is 1 GB. Applications are 500 MB. Softwares are 400 MB. So now once if you switch on your PC, these all the files will be stored into RAM because the RAM is what? Primary storage component. Okay. Okay. Now a RAM size what? 2 GB. If you switch on your PC, OS application software is being installed, like loaded. So 1 GB for OS, 500 MB for applications, 400 MB for software. Then how much space is left out in your RAM now?
100 Mbps.
100 MB. Okay. Now I have opened one web browser. So to access many services, Google Page I have opened, web browser I have opened. So once you open the web browser, then your 100 MB also has been filled. For what? Web browser. Okay, here you can access web browser. Now if I open any Excel sheet to work something, I open Excel sheet. So complete 2 GB has been finished in my RAM, right? OS is been loaded, applications, softwares and web browser, everything is okay, open. Everything has been loaded. So there is no space in RAM to store my Excel sheet, right? If there is no space, then your PC will be hang, will be stuck. Because of there is no storage, then what we'll do? We'll close the previous window, like web browser, we'll close it. If you close the web browser, again we can get 100 MB free space. Then you can open Excel sheet. Okay, again have open MS Word to type my letter. So to store this MS Word, do you have a space in RAM? No. Again your PC has been hang, stuck. Then again what we'll do, we'll open the Excel sheet. We will close the Excel sheet. Again 100 MB free space. So now what we think about, my PC is very slow because I'm not able to run multiple applications at a time. So we are thinking like that actually because of what what is the logic here? So there is no space and RAM to store that information. Then your PC has been stuck. Then what we'll do? So my PC is very slow, so I'm not able to do the multiple tasks. Then we upgrade your RAM to 8 GB. So if you upgrade to 8 GB, now OS has been installed, application, software, still we have 6 GB, 6 GB space is there, right? Now we can open the multiple files also, no issues because of 6 GB. Now we can run with one more operating system also. Then what we'll think now? Now my PC is speed. So actually logic is storage. Okay. That is why people will think like a speed purpose. Like if you have a 8 GB RAM, then our PC is very speed. If you have a 16 GB RAM, so my PC is very good speed. Of course, this processing is good, but the logic is what? Is a storage. So RAM, hard disk is all our storage component. So RAM is a primary storage and temporary storage. So why RAM is a temporary storage component? Example, I have opened MS Word and Paint page and web browser is all the things is opened, is all the information is been storing in RAM. If I shut down my PC, like suddenly power loss, so can we get back these all the files back? No, it's erased. So RAM can store information temporarily. Once your PC has been shut down, we don't get back again, right? You know why? Because RAM is RAM required power supply to store the information. Power supply is required. So this behavior we call volatile memory. As long as power supply is coming to RAM, it can store the information. So once power supply is been off, means your PC shut down, then everything is been erased. Then where we can get permanently you can save the files. So whatever you have the MS Word or Paint page or whatever the Excel sheet is all the information we are going to save from RAM to hard disk. Your hard disk is what? Permanent storage component, which is non-volatile. Like power supply is not required for hard disk drive to store the information. So what we'll do, we have to save the files to from where to where, RAM to hard disk drive, right? Control S we used. Like we are, so save means nothing. We are doing is what? You're copying from all the files from RAM to hard disk drive. That's the logic. Okay. Now have purchased one router and router have assigned IP address and have configured some passwords and routing protocols have configured in router. These all the configurations will be stored in router primarily in RAM. So router access is maintained what? RAM. RAM is what? Temporary storage component. So once your router is powered off, if power is off, then your IP address is lost, your routing protocols is being removed, your passwords are being like erased. Is all the configuration is being erased. Why? Is all the configurations are primary will be stored in where? RAM. There's no power supply and everything is been erased. So we require permanently storage. So which is a permanent storage component? Hard disk drive. But we don't have a hard disk drive in routers. Similar to hard disk drive, have one more type of RAM, which is NVRAM, non-volatile RAM. So NVRAM is similar to hard disk drive in PCs. So RAM is temporary storage, NVRAM is what? Permanent storage. But your all configurations primarily will be stored in RAM. From RAM, we need to be copied to NVRAM always. Okay, so two major components, internal components in router is what? RAM and NVRAM. Right. What is the use of ROM? Read-only memory. Okay. So what is the purpose of it?
Permanent RAM memory, random access. It's a permanent memory.
Okay. Yes, it's a permanent memory. So what type of files will be stored here?
Operating system.
OS will store in hard disk drive, in C drive. See, your PC, if you click on your switch on, if you switch on the PC, just one touch, one click. Like if you touch in start button, then within a seconds you'll get your desktops, right? But how PC can come to know where is OS, where is operating system? Like operating system is in a hard disk, in which drive? These all the instructions, like how to boot up your PC. The boot instructions will be stored in a ROM. So
Mm,
that boot
Bio,
instructions we call BIOS, right?
BIOS.
Exactly. So BIOS are permanently will be stored in ROM. Means boot instructions, means boot program BIOS will be stored. Basic input output system. Like every electronic device required a boot instructions, boot program. Even router also required a boot instructions, like how to boot up, how to boot your device, right? So router also has a ROM. So whatever files will be stored here, boot program. So boot program will be stored in ROM. All right. Now, computers, PCs will work with operating system. It can be any operating system, Windows, Linux, right? And routers also works with operating system. So that OS is IOS, Inter-Network Operating System. All Cisco routers will work with what? IOS. So generally, where operating system will be stored in your PC?
Hard disk.
Hard disk. Like it is a 1 TB hard disk. Now 1 TB hard disk we used to partition, right? Like first partition C, partition D, like partition E, like we used to do partitions. Why? Like partition C is dedicatedly we use for what? Operating system and
Operating
softwares,
system.
right? Yeah. And D drive, like D partition, we used to store your office
Personal.
files. And E drive, we used to store our entertainment and personal files, like we used to partition. Then for routers, then where inter-network operating system will be stored, IOS will be stored in router. Like we cannot do the partitions in NVRAM. Like in NVRAM, one partition for configurations, one partition for IOS. No. So NVRAM will be stored in only configurations. So we have a separate dedicated memory for operating system IOS in routers, that is flash memory. So flash cards inside the flash cards, IOS will be stored. Inter-network operating system will be stored here. Finally, These all are router internal components: RAM, NVRAM, ROM, flash. See, these all are storage component. But what type of files will be stored in RAM? Temporary files, and the file name of RAM is running-config. RAM file name is running config. So what type of files will be stored in NVRAM? Your all configurations permanently will be stored in NVRAM. So NVRAM file name is a startup configuration file. And what type of file will be stored in ROM? Boot program file. So what type of file will be stored in flash? IOS file, right? So these all are router internal components. Can read these points? ROM, it contains a bootstrap program, which searches and loads the operating system. It's similar to BIOS of the PC and contains Roman mode and advanced troubleshooting. You can do that. And flash memory, like internet network operating system, is stored here. So IOS is a Cisco proprietary operating system. Means IOS will work in only for Cisco, right? Next, NVRAM, non-volatile random access memory. NVRAM is similar to hard disk. It is also known as permanent storage, and startup configuration is stored here. The file name of NVRAM is what? Startup configuration. RAM, it is also called as main memory, temporary storage. Running configuration is stored here. You can see inside of router, this is a inside view picture. Motherboard and power supply, like this is SMPS. Flash cards, like flash card slot, ROM chip, boot ROM, RAM, I mean NVRAM, RAM, 2 slots is there, and this is a CPU. And here your LAN ports are connected, WAN ports are connected, admin ports are connected. Like these all are connected to here. We can insert here. Okay. So these are about router internal components. So finally, now we have a clear idea about all about router, external components, internal components, router types, functions, categories. No, all about routers we know about. Clear? Any doubts, guys?
What will be the size of the flash?
Yeah, that we'll see. It depends upon like router model number to model number, router flash size, RAM size, NVRAM size. I'll show you practically.
And these flashes are fixed, is it? Proprietary to Cisco.
IOS is proprietary to Cisco.
No, the flash also. Meaning we cannot, it is a fixed dimension, right?
Flash cards, like memory cards, like your mobile phone, you have a micro SSD, right? Cards type, external,
Okay, okay. Thank you.
like this is. Yeah. So today our main practical will be started. So we'll see how to configure a router now. Initial configuration of router. So now we have a clear idea about router. What is router, right? Now we'll do how to configure it. So when you purchase a brand new router, how to configure, what configuration to provide basic. Say you have purchased one brand new router, Cisco 2800 router, LAN port, considered is a FE, fast Ethernet, port number 0/0. By default, we don't have any IP address. See, I'm talking about brand new router. Okay. And a status of LAN port. Fast Ethernet 0/0 by default status is port is in shutdown state. When you have WAN port also, WAN port means what? Serial port. So we don't have any IP address for WAN ports, and WAN port state is also shut down. So now user, like administrator, you want to access router through LAN port, not possible because of the shutdown. Okay, you want to access router through WAN port, not possible because it's a shutdown, right? Then how we can access router initially means. So what network admins will do means from network admin PC, we need to connect to console port, admin port. From network admin PC to console port by using cable called rollover cable. That is network admin PC. So first requirement to configure router is a rollover cable. See the diagram how to connectivities. Yeah, this is router and router console port to other end to computer. This is a cable is a rollover cable. A rollover cable, one end to router console port, other end to your PC. Console connectivity. So console connectivity is done. See why console port is required? Why console port we need to use? Because of Cisco routers by default, we don't have any configurations. If it's a home routers, all home routers has been pre-configured, like pre-configured with IP address, DHCP, like protocols and passports, like whatever you need to internet access, everything is been pre-configured. Then we need to be configured actually, just plug and play. I can purchase any home router, I can give the power connection, connect to your internet cable, that's it. We just create SSID name and your passwords, Wi-Fi password, that is right. Nothing more than that we need to create configuration. But Cisco routers is not like that. So Cisco routers don't have any default configuration. So we need to be provide the basic configuration from starting onwards need to be provided. So then we have to use what? Console port. So how we can use console port? The first is what? Rollover cable, and next is we require some softwares here to access console port. That softwares are depends upon which OS you are using in your computer. If you are using Windows operating system, then PuTTY software, or we can use Hyper Terminal. If it is a Linux computer, it is a Linux, Minicom. So these softwares we called emulation softwares. So point number 2, emulation softwares. So two are basic requirements to configure a router initially. First one is rollover cable, and second one is emulation softwares. Then what is the task for today? Like what we need to be configured now? So our task is, so first the task is we have to set one name for router. Define one name that we call the host name of the router. Host name. We can assign any name like your company name, your area, the combination of company and area name. Any name you can define. So the command is what? Host name. So once if we define the name to router, next point. Next task is we have to assign one IP address to LAN port. IP address to LAN interface. IP address to LAN interface is the next task. And what is the default status of LAN port? Yes, please. What is the default status of LAN port?
Shutdown.
It's a shutdown. So now we need to activate it. Active LAN port. Okay. Out of all ports in the router, which is the most important port?
Console.
Console port. Like if someone has access to console port, so he will take the complete control of that router, right? So in the real time, what we'll do, so anyone want to access console port, that should be authenticated. So we need to secure console port. How? By setting a password. So configure password to console port. So host name of router, IP address to LAN interface, and we need to activate the LAN port, password to console port. For remotely login, we need to enable telnet functionality for remote access. So this is our basic configurations now. Clear? Cisco routers will work with what? IOS. So these IOS can support it for two methods of configuration. One is GUI mode and CLI mode. Like we can configure router through graphical user interface. Means we can open the web browser and we can set the name IP of the router, and we can open the dashboard and we can provide the configuration. This is one method, basic method actually. Real time we don't use this mostly. We use CLI actually, no? This is graphical user interface and this is completely command line interface. So through commands we can provide the configurations to router. Whatever protocols you want to enable, routing protocols or any interface configurations, and setting the speed, bandwidth settings, like all entire router configurations will use in the real time is what? CLI mode. So even in our training also, I'm going to explain about CLI, how to configure routers to CLI mode, command line interface through commands. Next point is Cisco iOS versions. Have different type of iOS versions in Cisco, like 12.1 iOS version, 12.2, 12.3. The basic iOS versions. If it's 12.1, 2, 3, these iOS versions can support to configure with IPv4 network only. Whereas like 12.4 and later on, like Cisco has been released 12.4 iOS version, and later like 12.5, 12.6 or 15.1, 15.2, like after 12.4 and later iOS versions can support to configure with IPv4 network and IPv6 network, and this 12.4 and 15.1 iOS versions can support some advanced security features, advanced some protocols can be supported. So whenever you are configuring in your practices also, in the real time also, you're doing the practices, first thing you need to know is your router iOS version is which iOS version. Is your router iOS version is 12.3 or 15.1? If it's 12.3, then you can configure only IPv4. If your router iOS version is 12.4 or 15.1, then you can configure router with IPv4 network and IPv6 network, and it can support some advanced protocols also. So anytime, first thing we have to check iOS versions. Okay? Yeah. So now configuration. Generally, junior administrator, senior administrator, two job roles. Now for this router, host name, what host name we need to assign, and which class IP address we have to use, like class A IP or class B IP or class C IP, and LAN port need to active or deactive, what we need to do, and what password you have to configure to console port, and how to enable telnet. These all the configurations can be provided by senior admin or junior admin. Who will do the job? Who will decide the configuration?
Senior
Senior
admin.
admin, right? Yeah. By senior administrator will provide the configurations. Okay. Then router access for whom? Router access. So junior admin can access to router. Senior admin also can access router. Like everyone has to access to router, right? If junior admin has access, then junior admin also can configure router. So junior administrator also can change the password, can change the IP address. So he will also have the control of that router now. So Cisco IOS will control junior administrators to configure, to modify the configurations. You know how? In Cisco IOS software have some modes is it? Cisco IOS modes. Cisco IOS operational modes. The first one is a router with user mode. We call a router user mode. So router user mode for junior engineers, junior administrators. So what is the job role of junior administrator means? Only network traffic monitoring, network monitor. So means in user mode, only the basic commands, only basic task you can do actually. We cannot assign the IP address, we cannot assign the passwords, like configurations cannot be made here. Then what we can do in user mode for junior engineers, like what we can do just a network monitoring, like your link status is up or link status is down, and we can reachable the network like a ping command, traceroute command, like very few basic commands only will be executable in user mode. Then how we can identify user mode means based upon the symbols. Router with greater than sign, greater than symbol is user mode. Router greater than symbol is what? User mode. So in router user mode, we can do only very basic few commands only. Like this is only for what? Network monitoring purpose. The next level mode is in Cisco, next level is we call it is privilege mode. Privilege mode. Like how we can identify privilege mode? Router hash symbol. See, symbols are very important, guys. Router hash. So being on the router privilege mode, also we cannot configure router. But privilege mode for senior admins. Then what we can do in privilege mode? In privilege mode, your router verification. So you want to know about your router model number, we can get information in privilege mode. Like router iOS version, if it's a 12.1 or 15.1, so which iOS version is there in your router? You want to check that, is possible in privilege mode. Like router LAN port type, like how many LAN ports is it? 2 LAN ports or 3 LAN ports? How many WAN ports is it? If your LAN port is a Ethernet port or fast Ethernet port, and the router LAN port status is what? Type is what? Like all about router information, we can check in privilege mode. The flash size, RAM size, NVRAM size. Like already router is configured, then what protocol is configured, which protocol is enabled, and LAN port status is up or down. Your WAN port is down, like ISP link is up or down. like all about router software information and hardware information, the link status, interface status, complete full information we can get in privilege mode. So privilege mode is for what? Verification, and we can do monitoring also from privilege mode. So monitoring can done in user mode also and privilege mode also. Okay. But configurations cannot be made. So we cannot configure router in user mode also and privilege mode also. Then where we can start doing configuration is, we call next level mode is global configuration mode. Global configuration mode. So how to understand the global configuration mode? Router config hash. Config hash is a symbol. So this is global configuration mode. From here, we can start doing configuration. So whatever your task, like a host name, some configurations we can do. Not all the configurations again. Basic configurations we can. So configurations we can start from global configuration mode. So after global configuration mode, again we have three sub modes. -if. Name of it is interface mode we call it. -line. Line mode. -router. Router mode. What we can do in user mode? Yes, please. What we can do in user mode, guys?
Monitoring.
Network monitoring. Okay. What we can do in privilege mode?
Verification.
Router verification. If my task is I want to assign IP address to LAN port. LAN interface, you want to assign IP address to LAN port. Or you want to assign IP address to WAN port. You want to remove IP address to LAN, remove IP address to WAN, and you want to active your LAN port or deactive LAN and WAN port. Like any configurations you want to provide for LAN and WAN interfaces is possible in interface mode. So interface mode used to configure LAN and WAN interfaces. So you want to modify your LAN interface IP address, or you want to remove IP address, or you want to assign IP address, whatever. Any configurations we can provide for LAN and WAN interfaces is possible in which mode? Interface mode. Like console port password, auxiliary port password, telnet passwords. Like passwords we can provide in line mode. So line mode for what? Passwords configuration. And router mode is for to configure routing protocols. Like RIP, OSPF, EHRP, these protocols you want to enable in router modes. So based upon our task, we have a respective modes is there. Let's consider if your task is network monitoring, which mode we need to choose? Which mode we need to go to? Network monitoring.
User mode.
User mode. So if your task is you want to know your router IOS, which version is there, then which mode you can do that?
Privileged.
Privilege
Privilege
mode.
mode. Like if you want to know how many LAN ports are available in your router, then which mode you can get that information?
Global configuration.
My question is, you want to know router has how many LAN ports? Where you can get that information?
Privileged. Privileged.
Privilege mode. Yeah, if you want to know your router RAM size, NVRAM size, flash card size, where you can get that information?
Privileged.
Privilege mode. See, router is already configured. Router is already configured, then which IP is enabled, which IP is configured, which protocol is configured, what is the link status, is all the information where we can get?
Privilege mode only.
Privilege mode. So now if your task is we want to assign IP address to LAN port, where we can assign an IP address to LAN port?
Global configuration mode.
Interface mode. Assigning IP address to LAN port is possible in which mode is a? Interface mode.
Interface.
If your task is setting a password to console port, then where we can do that?
Line.
Line.
In mode.
Line mode.
Yes. So if your task is we want to enable like OSPF protocol, like RIP protocol, where we can do that?
Router mode.
Router mode. Exactly. So based upon our task, we have a respective modes is it. So now we have a clear picture about what we can do in user mode and how can identify it and what is the sign for user mode. I mean symbol. What is the symbol for user mode and what we can do in privileged mode and what is the symbol of privileged mode. So we have a clear idea about this Cisco iOS modes. So can we assign IP address in user mode?
No.
No. So can we assign IP address in privileged mode?
No.
No. So can we get full information about router in user mode?
No.
No. So if you are in a privileged mode, then only we can get full complete router information. No. So don't get confused here. When you're doing the practical also, majorly what you'll do mistakes, being on the privileged mode, people will try to assign IP address. And your router will give error message. Again he's trying, again he's trying, again he's trying. So how it can come? So IP address to LAN port or WAN port, we have a dedicated mode is what? Interface mode. Setting a passwords for line mode, routing protocols, router mode. Like this. Is it clear for everyone? Any doubts about the modes?
Well, these modes are all default for all Cisco models or model to model delivery.
For complete every Cisco router, same thing. Can be 2800 series, it can be 5000 series, it can be 9000 series, like a branch router, a network edge router, ISP router. Like if it is Cisco, same modes. Okay. Because of all Cisco routers works with iOS. These are the Cisco iOS modes.
Sir, tell me once again in router configuration.
From global configuration mode, are you asking about global configuration mode, right?
Yes.
Yeah, global configuration mode, we can start doing configuration. Like a host name we can do here, and static routing we can do here. Like we can enable IP routing here. Like some commands we can executable here actually. Means this is a starting mode for to start your configurations. After global configuration mode, again we have different type of sub modes: interface mode, line mode, router mode. So configurations can start from here on. Okay. So if you switch on your router, first mode you can get user mode. From user mode, directly we cannot come to interface mode. Like we need to switch from user to privilege, privilege to global config to interface, global config to line, global config to router. Like we need to switch from one mode to another mode. It's clear?
Thank you.
Right. So what are the basic requirements to configure router? A rollover cable, emulation softwares, and what is the task going to do for basically and Cisco iOS versions and Cisco iOS modes and symbols. So we have a clear idea about Cisco routers. Shall we start practical now? What do you say, guys?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So let me open the Cisco Packet Tracer software. So here we are going to do all the practicals. This is a file, Cisco Packet Tracer student. You can see my cursor. The left side we have routers. If we click on here, the right side we have different type of model numbers is there, like 1841, 1941, like 2620 XM, 2621 XM, 2811, 2901, 2911. Like better to use two series. Starting with the two series, we can use it for practices. My example, I'm using 2811, 2811. Click on it, click on your screen. Router is okay. Now next, router right side, we have switches, right? If we click on switches, the switches also have different type of switches. So use 2960 switch. Switch is okay. And computers, PC. This is end devices. Your PC, server, printer, IP phone, like different type of components. You see, I'm using PC. PC1, PC2, PC3, PC4, 5 PCs. Now connectivities from router to switch and switch to PCs. See the connections. Here we have a cables, like this is console cable, copper straight through cable, cable, phone, coaxial, serial DC, different type of cables. So what type of connectivity we have to use between router to switch? Like different type of devices.
Straight
Cable
over
is what?
cable.
Straight cable, right? Yeah. Switch to PC, straight cable. See, we have, if we confused, we have an option. The first one, very first one is what? Automatically choose connection type. If you use it, if you click on router and click on switch, straight cable automatically connection. So automate cable, switch to PC. Yes. So connections is done. See, generally, what are the basic requirements to configure router? A rollover cable is required. Emulation software is like a putty software, minicom software, right? So these requirements for physical routers, yeah, real routers. But in the packet tracer software, we don't require these things. A rollover cable is not required. Emulation software is not required. So directly, if we click on router, we can get a console. I mean, router screen, we can get it. So I'll show you again. Just click on router and have option is what here? CLI, right? Yeah, click on CLI. Yes. This is a inside. Like we are now log into router. So it's asking the questions. System configuration dialog. Continue with configuration dialog. Please answer yes or no. What will you type here? Continue with configuration dialog. Continue with configuration is yes, but continue with configuration dialog is not required. Configuration dialog is not required. You know, like some like a survey will start actually if you type yes. Now it will ask the question. which interface you want to assign IP address, and what IP address you want to assign, and which host name you want to assign, like question answer, like interaction, like somewhat survey will be started actually. So we don't require that because of now we know the modes, user mode and symbol, privilege mode and symbol. We know the modes and what we can do, right? So this dialog is not required. You can skip it. Type no and enter. Yes. See, this is which mode?
User mode.
User mode.
How we can say is a user mode?
Greater than symbol.
Greater than symbol. Yes. So now this is a router user mode. Here, junior engineers will work in real time. Here only junior engineers will work here actually. What they will do, like network traffic monitoring, like ping commands and verifying the link status, connectivities. The basic things will be work here actually. But can I assign IP address here? Can I
No.
provide IP? No, it's
No.
not possible.
No.
Can we set passwords? No, configurations is not possible here, right? Right. So next mode. Next mode is what? We need to switch from user to privilege. Like how we can switch means if we type enable command, enter.
Excuse
Now
me,
which mode it is?
Bharat.
Place mode.
Privileges.
Let's say privilege mode, right?
Privilege.
Yeah. See, you don't copy the commands. I'll give the list of all the commands in end of the session. You just focus on the screen and observe how I'm doing to configurations. Okay. So now it is a privileged mode because of sign. Symbol is what? Hash. So what we can do in privileged mode?
Verification.
Verification and monitoring.
That is very, very important task here. So now before you go into configuration, you should know complete information about your router. Router model number and series, how many LAN ports is it, and LAN port types is, and flash card, IOS file name, RAM size, NVRAM size, and what is the status of your LAN port, like all about router information you have to check. iOS version is a 12.4 or 12.1. Let me verify now. So to verification purpose, like anything to verify, commonly we use command is show. Like show version, show running config, show startup config, show password, show IP address, show routing table. Like any verification commonly we use what? Show. Show version. Show space version. Enter. Yeah, we got some information here. After show version, see Cisco IOS software, 2800 series software. Version is what? 12.4 iOS version. If it is 12.4 iOS version, IPv4 can support and
IPv6.
IPv6 can support and advanced protocols also can support it. Yes. So one task is done. So we have verified our iOS version and we know that 12.4 iOS version. Next, what type of files will be stored in ROM? System,
Yes.
boot program, bootstrap program, that information. And next, this is all the product information. We don't require this information. And you can see the last line. What is showing here?
More.
More information is there. To get the more information, we need to press enter. Enter, 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 keep on enter. Yes. So we got privilege mode now. Right. So here, Cisco 2811, 2800 series. Model number is 2811. And 5120 kilobytes of memory, like RAM size is 5120 KBs. Next, fast Ethernet LAN port. 2 fast Ethernet ports is there. So in this router, 2 LAN ports are available. Each LAN port can support 100 Mbps speed because of it's a fast Ethernet port, right? So 2 LAN ports is there. And next, NVRAM. Your permanent configuration RAM size is 239 KB. 239 kbs of NVRAM. So in NVRAM only, here all configurations, router passwords, router protocols, everything is going to permanently will be stored in NVRAM. That NVRAM size is what? 239
239
KB.
KB.
It is not a MBs or GBs of TBs. In router internally have very basic, very low memories actually, no? 239 KB of NVRAM. And flash card size is like 6 to 720 KB of flash cards actually. Like 512 MB will be there and 420 MB will be there. 250 MB file, 250 MB like this.
Balu, I have one question, Balu. Starting here, the Cisco model is there. Na? After that, it is showing that the processor revision with 60416K by 5120KB.
Yes.
What is exactly that one?
RAM size, memory size, how much space has been used, how much left out.
Total RAM memory size is 6041K.
Yeah. Okay. Any doubts? Yes. So by using show version command, the single like show version command, what information you can get?
No router information.
Like router software information we can get and hardware information you can get, right? Next verification command. Let's see, what is the file name of RAM? So I want to check my RAM information. What is the file name of RAM?
Running.
Running config. So let me check running configuration. Show running hyphen config. Here, host name. By default, what is the host name? Host name is router only. By default, name is what? Router. Next, interface. Fast Ethernet LAN port. First LAN port number 0/0. No
No
IP
IP.
address. And status is what?
Shutdown.
Shutdown. LAN port 2. Fast Ethernet 0/1. 0/0 is a port number 1. 0/1 is a port number 2. Even for second port also no IP address in the shutdown. So now let me check NVRAM. So startup configuration. See if it's a brand new. By default your NVRAM is what? Empty, right? So if we check show startup hyphen config. Startup config is not present. It's a brand new, it's empty. Startup config is not present, right? It's empty. We need to configure and need to copy that information from RAM to NVRAM. This is the basic verification commands in privileged mode. And let me switch to privileged mode to global configuration mode. How we can switch means configure space terminal. Enter. Now we can get global configuration mode. This is a global configuration mode. Say router config hash. This is global configuration mode. From here we can start doing configuration. So what is the first task? Host name. So generally, host name we can assign in any name, your wish, any name we can use. But real time, host name we can assign in a combination of your company name and area name. Like example, Zoom Technology, Zoom Amirpet, Zoom Banjara Hills. Like Airtel Hyderabad, Airtel Bangalore. Like the combination of company and area name or company code and area codes. Like host name has been recommended actually. Will we do? So host name space, whatever your name, you can do it now. Zoom Technology Amirpet. Enter. Yeah. Before a router name is showing is what router, but now what is that showing here? Zoom Tech Amirpet.
Zoom Tech Amirpet.
So by seeing this, I can understand. Okay, this router is belongs to Zoom Technologies Amirpet branch. Like this, we can set host name. Again, you want to change the host name. Same thing. Host name Zoom Tech HYD. So it's been override. So the host name is what? Zoom Tech Hyderabad. Again, you want to change the host name. Same. Host name India. So like we can set host name. Let me explain how to remove the host name. So we discussed now how to set the host name and how to remove the host name is not only host name, how to remove IP address, how to remove the passwords, everything. So any configuration you want to remove in Cisco is very simple. Just add no before that commands. No host name, no IP address, no password, no telnet. Like want to remove anything before that command, you can just use what? No command. Okay. So host name is to assign. And what is the command to remove the host name?
No host.
No host name, enter. Say host name has been removed and default name is router. Like this. So now we know how to assign host name and we know how to remove host name also. Right? We'll do one thing. Let me continue with host name India. Tell me the comments how to set the host name India.
Host name India.
Hosting space India.
Host name space India.
Space India.
Again, we know it to be typed because it's already commands are executed, right? Now, if we just
Just,
use up
just go
arrow
up arrow.
keys, yeah, up arrow keys, then we can get previous commands actually. So, recent actions what we have done. No host name. Again, if you up arrow key, host name India. Again, if up arrow, host name Zoom Hyderabad. Again, up arrow. Amirpet. The previous commands will come back actually. So, up down arrows we can do it. So, host name India. Enter. For quick configurations, we can do like this. So, first task is done. What is second task? So, first task is done. The next task is what? IP address to LAN interface. Like we can assign IP address to LAN interface in class A also, class B also, class C also. Depends upon your requirement, number of host requirement. We can go for class A or B or C. Let's say how decided class C example. For assigning IP address to LAN port means LAN within a LAN, right? So we have to use private IP address or public IP address for LAN port.
Private.
Private. So then tell me class C private IP example. Class C private IP.
92.168.168.
Yes. 192.168 dot consider 1.0 you can use it.
Yes.
1.0.
No, no,
No,
no.
zero we cannot
No.
use, no, one.
1.0 is network ID. So first usable address is what? 1.1. Yes. So I have decided to assign 1.1. Okay. So where, I mean, which mode we can do this assigning IP address to LAN port? Can we do in user mode? No. Privileged mode? No. Global configuration mode?
If
No. Where we can do that?
if
Interface.
Interface mode.
Yes, mode.
So now we are in global configuration mode. How we can switch to interface mode? If we type enable, we'll get privileged mode. If we type config terminal, we'll get global configuration mode. Then what is the command to get interface mode? Command is
If
interface only. So to get interface mode, command is interface. To get line mode, command is line. To get router mode, command is router. Okay. So interface. If we type interface, now what is our task? Assigning IP address to which port? LAN port or WAN port?
LAN port.
LAN port. What type of LAN port do you have in my router? Is my router LAN port is a Ethernet port? Or is it a fast Ethernet? Or is it a gigabit Ethernet?
Fast Ethernet.
The fast Ethernet, then type
Fast
interface space fast Ethernet and port number 0/0. So this is the command interface fast Ethernet 0/0. So this command fast Ethernet command depends upon what type of LAN port you have in your router. If your router LAN port is a gigabit Ethernet, then command is what? Interface space gigabit Ethernet port number 0/0. Or if your LAN port type is a Ethernet port, then command is what? Interface Ethernet 0/0. So don't blindly use this fast Ethernet command. So first you can check your router interface type and you can use the command section. Okay. So I already have verified my router LAN port is what? Fast Ethernet and port number first one is what? 0/0. So let me
I have
use
a
it.
question, Balo.
Yeah.
The tabs will work. Yeah, if I type F and again tab, we will get the entire command.
Yes. The shortcuts, like if you type the few letters and if you press tab, it fill your commands. We need to type the complete command actually. See the few letters I and D. Actually, full command is what? Interface, right? Then what I'm doing is INT. If you type tab, interface will come. I mean, it's fill your commands actually. And interface FA. If you press tab, fast Ethernet will get 0/0.
What if I have 2 or 3 on the same name?
That is what minimum 3-4 letters we need to type actually.
Okay. It will not give the
The
option
characters.
for all the existing things.
No. Yes, you can
Okay.
take the help also. Like by using a question mark, you can get it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So interface fast Ethernet 0/0. Enter. So now we are in config -if. This is interface mode. Here we can set IP address. IP space address. Command is what? IP address. Now we can use your IP address. 192.168.1.1. It is showing incomplete command. Means what? A command is not completed. So why command is not completed?
We need to give subnet mask.
Very good. So this is class C. We know that. And 192 is network portion. 168 is network portion. 1 is network portion. And 1 is a host portion. That we know, but how your router knows about that? Subnet mask. So enter subnet mask. 255.255.255.0. The command is completed. Okay. So host name is done. IP address to LAN interface is also we have assigned. And what is the next task? Active LAN port. So what is the default status of the LAN port?
Shut down.
Shut down. Like how can activate it is generally what is the command to remove host name?
No host name.
No.
What is the command to remove IP address?
No IP address.
What is the command to remove password?
No password.
Then what is the command to remove shutdown?
No shutdown.
That's it. So already a port is shut down, then how can remove it? Just add here no. If there is a no shutdown command, then your port will come up. Right? Say in packet tracer, like your PC to switch LED colors is showing is what? Green, right? Means PC to switch, the connectivity is okay, everything is fine. Data communication is possible, right? A switch to router, see LED status, LED color. A switch to router is what? Red, because of your router LAN port is what? Shut down. Let you activate it. Once you active, then it'll come green. See, what is the command to active the LAN port?
No shutdown.
Already port is shut down. To remove it, can use no space shutdown.
No shutdown.
Enter. So once if we use no shutdown command, then immediately we'll get some log notification messages. Read the notification message clearly. See, no shutdown, and we got two log messages. What is that? Interface fast Ethernet 0/0 change state to up. So interface is up. Interface next line is what? Line protocol. So protocol on that interface is also up. So for every interface, always we have to get two notifications, two up status. Interface should be up and protocol also should be up. Then only data transmission is possible on that interface. If only interface is up and protocol is down, then no data communication. So any interface, it can be LAN interface, it can be WAN interface, always two lines. There's two lines, like two commands should be up. Interface should be up and protocol should be up. Okay. Now we got the two. Interface is up state and protocol is also up. Now if we check router to switch also, what is the color? Green. So connectivity is done here now. So from this PC, can I communicate to router now? Yes. From second PC, yes. Third PC, yes. Fourth, like all PCs can reach to router. Like how we can check the communication from PC? We can ping to router IP. So first, click on PC, desktop, IP configuration. So PC also need to assign IP address, right? So what is the router IP address? Your PC should be in the same network. 192.168.
158.
1.1 is a router IP. 1.2 is my PC subnet mask. Then what will be the default gateway address?
Router IP.
Router IP 1.1 is default gateway. Yeah. Now if you ping to router IP, so packet sent 4, received 4, lost 0, 0% loss. Means communicating is done. Like we can check from all PCs by assigning IP address and you can reach to router. Okay, so host name, IP address, active LAN port, done. The LAN port is now, it is active state, is now up. Next task is, now I'm in a global configuration interface mode, right? If I do exit command, one step back, interface to global config mode. Again, if you do exit, one step back, global config to privileged mode. But from privileged mode to get user mode, disable. User to privilege, enable. Privilege to user, disable. Enable, disable. Like from user, if you do exit, now total out of all the modes. Here we have one message here. What is that? India router Con 0 means console port 0 is now available. So router console port is available. Now everyone can access. You can access, I can access, hacker can access, attacker can access, like everyone can access. If you have a console cable and softwares, everyone can access, right? See, I have connected a console cable and open the putty. If you press enter, so without any authentication, I'm getting router user mode, India router user mode. I got it now. And if I type
Before
enable
we are,
command, yeah,
before we are exiting, no need to save anything.
we have to save actually because of all the configurations.
Mhm.
Means before exiting, we no need to save. Like anytime we need to save. After exit again, go to privilege mode, you can save this.
Okay.
We are not
Balu,
exiting from the router. We just exit from the modes only. Yeah, please.
yeah, you said like if everyone can enable now. So how to set up the password then?
Yeah, that is what I'm explaining now. So
Yeah,
now
okay.
a router console port is not secured, right? So we need to set password to console port. So if anyone want to access router through console, that person should be authenticated. So what we need to do? Password to console port. Where we can set that password to console port? We can set password on user mode? No. Privilege
No,
mode? No.
no.
Where we have
Interface.
line mode.
Line console. Yeah.
Yeah, line mode for passwords. So what is the command?
Line console.
Line console port number 0 means only one port. 0 means what? One port. Line console 0. Yeah, help me out. How? From user to privilege, privilege to global config to line. What are the commands, please?
Enable
Enable.
Okay.
config terminal.
Config.
Okay.
Line console.
Line console port number
Port
0.
number.
See, now this is line mode. Config hyphen line.
Yeah,
This is line mode.
interface. The
Line mode. Now we can type password.
password.
Password space. What is the password you want? You can use it. My example, Zoom is the password. Password Zoom. Enter. So password space Zoom is a created. Password is created, and when this password is activated, is login.
Yeah.
Enter. And exit. So password is enabled now. Then how console is secured or not? How we can check? So exit from all the modes again and try to relog in, right? Yeah. So same message here. India router console port is now available. Before also same. India router console. So before if I press enter, directly you are getting user mode without any authentication, right? But now if you press enter, user access verification is asking the password. So that user should be authenticated. Okay, it's clear? Yes, please. It's clear, guys?
Yeah, Balu.
Any doubts? Because of console password and the junior admin will try with some passwords. 4 characters. He knows the 4 characters is a password. So this one type of attack we call the shoulder attack, shoulder surfing. Yes. Even if you enter a password in the social media, any websites, we can get what? Dot, stars, right? By seeing the dot and stars, some shoulder attackers can come to know how many characters your password. The same thing you've done now, right? But Cisco IOS software is very high secured. See, it's asking the password, right? If we enter password, no dots, no stars. I already have entered password. See this. This is very high secured. Means even the shoulder attackers cannot come to know like how many characters your password. Is it 4 characters or 5 characters, 6 characters? They don't actually. Because of there is no dots and stars while entering the passwords. Okay, this is a special security features in Cisco IOS, whereas in other vendors there will be dots and stars will be there. Clear? So to tell that example, I use the HDFC. I don't have account and I don't have a some banking and
Net banking HDFC has so much of history now.
Okay. See, you understand what is exactly I'm telling here? It is like in Cisco routers, when you enter the password, no dots and no stars. Why? Because it's one of the loophole is there actually. Like someone can monitor your backend. Not only HDFC, for every website there is a dots and star is there, right? Yeah. It's clear, guys, about console password.
Yes.
Right. Next point is now, which mode it is now?
User mode.
User mode. So user mode for junior admin, right? So router user mode. As a junior administrator, if we type enable command, see if we type enable, now junior engineer also is getting which mode?
Privilege.
Privilege mode simply. So all junior engineers will get senior modes, privilege mode. In once you enter the privilege mode, in privilege mode you can get all the information, like full information you can get about the router. From privilege mode you can go to global configuration mode also. Then you can change your IP address, you can change the password, whatever you want to do, you can do it. So when to control the juniors in user mode only. How? When to set one password. So that password we called enable password. Enable password means what? Whenever if you type enable, you should ask password. So if you type enable, you should ask password. So then if you enter password, then only can get router privilege mode. Okay. Let's see enable password, how to configure it. Config terminal, enable password CCNA. So now password is CCNA, right? Now let me check once again. User mode and privilege mode are secured or not. We go back to exit, disable. Now I'm in user mode. If you type enable, see before enable password, if you type enable without password is I'm in privilege mode. After configuring of enable password, if I type enable, is asking what? Password. CCNA. Clear?
So you say that if a senior administrator should get into the system, he should type 2 passwords?
Yes, console password and enable password both.
Oh, why both?
So console port, we have assigned for console port. That is a password. This is for the mode, user to privilege mode.
Okay.
Because of junior engineers has to come to user mode, they need to be monitored. So we used to share the password to users or junior administrator also. But we need to restrict in user mode only. They should not come to privilege. Then password is there.
What if we forgot the passcode?
Yeah, I see. Just now we have configured password. So then immediately you'll forget the password.
Not immediately. For removing password also, for removing password, we have to enter
Yeah.
at least one password, no?
Yes. It's actually for home routers we have option is reset button is
Reset.
there, right?
Reset,
Yeah.
yeah.
But Cisco routers we don't have any reset buttons. We have one process to recover the password. So if you forget the password, we have password recovery. We have a separate session is there. We'll discuss later on.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So host name, IP address, no shutdown, password to console, and enable password is all the configurations will be stored in RAM or NVRAM. Where will store primarily?
Environment.
Primary. Primary will be stored in RAM, right?
Primary is RAM only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Primary is in RAM. We need to copy from RAM to NVRAM. So directly all the
Same.
configuration will not come to NVRAM. All the configurations
Same.
will be stored in that RAM, right? So we need to save the configuration from RAM to NVRAM. Yes. Okay. What is the file name of RAM? Show running -config. Again, same example, shoulder attacks. See, why we have configured enable password? Yes, why we have configured enable password?
Entering the privilege mode.
Yeah,
Securing.
Sir, not come to the configure.
junior engineers should not come to privilege mode, right? Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Now, user and privilege mode is it secured or not? User to privilege mode is it secured?
Secured. Secured.
Yes, because we have
Sure.
enabled password, right? Okay. So
Yes.
what we are thinking is we configured password between the user to privilege. So junior engineers is not able to come to privilege mode. That is what our thinking, right? But again, we have one loophole. You know what is that? Says all the configurations will be stored in RAM. Now, when you used to work with a show running configuration as a senior engineer, now some junior admin from backside, we can monitor on your screen.
The password
Enter.
can be seen here. It is
Exactly.
encrypted. Yeah.
See here,
It can be
enable
encrypted.
password is what showing here?
CCNA.
CCNA. So now junior engineers clearly they can know okay, enable password is CCNA. Then what of the use of this password?
Encrypted here. Okay. Okay. Okay.
So that is why Cisco not recommended to use this enable password. So Cisco recommended config terminal enable secret password. Enable secret. See. Now have configured, have enabled which password? Secret. So what is the difference between enable password and enable secret is? So now password is CCNA or Cisco?
Cisco.
Now password is Cisco, right? Yes. Now if you work with a show running configuration, even the backend they are monitoring your screen also no problem. You know why? Because enable password, I mean enable secret is encrypted. So junior engineers they don't know exactly what is your password.
But showing one, 5 now. Number 5.
5 means what? CISCO, Cisco. It is not 5
Oh,
characters. It does not indicate the 5 characters. Even if you type Cisco @123, also it shows the 5. Even if you
Okay.
configure 16 characters password, also shows the 5.
Okay.
It's type of password. I mean, it's a what type of encrypted algorithm type is MD5 algorithm. That is a 5. It's not the 5 of characters. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So which password is recommended? Enable
But it is
secret is
still it
recommended.
is showing enable password CCNA. That means it will not valid.
It will not work. Enable password is not work. What is the secret password? That is only work actually.
So
So
it is
why
also
we
showing the
have
previous
configured is,
configuration.
yeah, why we have configured is just to explain the difference between the secret and password. I have configured. So you directly, instead of enable password, you configure secret. Okay. All right. So these all are enable password and enable secret. Enable secret is Cisco. Next task is how to enable telnet. How to enable telnet. So we have designed network topology with router, 2811 series router we used, a LAN port, which is your fast Ethernet port, and we have assigned IP address 1.1 and is a upstate, and it is connected to switch to user 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 devices are connected, right? Yeah, the topology here, 5 users and router. Okay. And real time administrator, network admin is physically connected to console port through roll cable. And you can use some software, putty applications, then you can access to console port. It's a physical connectivity, right? Yeah. So admin can log into router via console port. What about your users? Like how you users can log into router? User 1 want to log into router, user 2, user 3, like all users want to log into router. How is possible?
Telnet.
Telnet. So administrator is a physical access. Reminding all engineers is a virtual logins. Virtual logins. So for virtual logins, we need to be create in router. That is line VTY, virtual terminals. How many sessions we need to create? Like how many users we have here? 5 users. Means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0 to 4. So line VTY 0 space 4 means 5 virtual logins, 5 virtual sessions is we are creating now. Line VTY 0 to 4 password CCNA login. That's it. So this configuration is to enable telnet. Now telnet is enabled. For administrator required what? A rollover cable is required and putty software is required. Then you can access, right? But for LAN users, they don't require a rollover cable. They don't require any putty softwares. So LAN users can log in router via LAN port from the basic PC command prompt. We can use telnet service. By using telnet service, we can log into router. But troubleshooting, any configurations can be made configurations we want to change, any IP address activation that possible through console port. So through LAN, we can log in. We can add configurations also if have the privileges. Okay, but if IP is removed, if IP is deleted, if your port is shut down, if your LAN port is down, then all LAN users can able to log in? No, not possible. But console is possible. So again, what admin will do, through console port log into router and they can active the LAN port, then users can log in actually. Okay. So let me show you how to enable telnet functionality. Config terminal, line VTY 024, password, CCNA, login. Now from your computer command prompt, this is PC command prompt, telnet 1.1, password, CCNA, India router user mode, India router privileged mode. We can do configuration from here. So like from PC1, we can log in, PC2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 users at the same time we can able to log in. So 5 sessions were created. It's clear?
Again, this access is license based?
No need.
Okay.
Only authenticated only, that's it.
How many can access? Meaning, is there any limitation, restriction?
Yeah, we created 0 to 4, right? But it can support some model numbers can support 0 to 15, some model number routers can support 0 to 50, 0 to 100, 0 to 900, like 1,000
Okay,
sessions
got
also we
it.
can create.
Got it.
It depends
Got it.
upon
Okay.
your model.
So, Balu, it is all green, right? It means the everything is up, right?
This is completely an app.
Only physical links are up. The configuration hasn't been done on the PCs.
So further configurations we can do, we can go via PCs. I mean through telnet. Initially we have to do through console. If LAN port IP is assigned, status is up, and if enable telnet, then through LAN we can log into router and further configurations we can do from there. Okay. Yeah, Shiva, what is your exactly doubt?
It is showing all in green, right?
Yes, here.
Yeah, it is everything is in green.
Yeah.
So we set it up in router, but it is showing everything on the I mean host name side also green. What I don't understand that
So
actually.
here we don't to give anything because of your PC port is active state, your switch ports are active state. Default router LAN port is a shutdown. Then we activate it. But remaining switch ports and the PC ports are always active state only.
Okay.
Default is active state.
Okay.
Yeah.
His question is Balu. That the configuration is not done yet, but the links are showing green. What does that mean?
Where configuration is not yet done.
We have not assigned any IP address to the PC, have we?
Yeah, that is what I'm telling
In,
is
in,
PCs LAN ports are default is active state even if you are not assigned the IP address.
that's what I'm telling. Yeah, okay, got you. That's the same
Yeah.
thing what I was telling. Yeah.
But router ports is a by default is shutdown state. See, best example, you are using a laptop and you are connecting internet cable to your NIC. Do you configure anything on your NIC? No shutdown, something you're doing? Nothing. You just connect your cable to NIC, then you're getting internet. Because of your PC NIC's default is active state. Okay. So finally, host name, IP address, no shutdown, passwords, enable password, enable secret, telnet. is all configurations are primarily will be stored in RAM, right? Yes. Now all configurations in RAM only. I'll show you that practical here. See, if I check show running config, then I can able to see host name is India and enable password is CCNA, IP address is 1.1 and subnet mask. All configurations we can get. If you open the RAM, if you open the NVRAM, what is the NVRAM file name? Show startup -config. Not present. NVRAM is not present, right? So means present configurations, all the configurations in RAM. Now what if my router power is been off? If router's power is off, so can we get back is all the configurations again now?
No.
No. It'll be erased. Problem. Then what we have to do?
You
We
have
need
to
to copy
copy
the configurations from where to where?
RAM to NVRAM.
RAM to NVRAM.
RAM to NVRAM.
What is the file name of RAM?
No.
What is the file name of RAM?
Cisco.
Running config.
Running.
So what we will do means in router privilege mode, you can use copy space running -config space startup -config. This command we have to use to save the configurations. Copy running config to startup config means copy RAM to NVRAM. So if you execute this command, then the configurations is being saved. Or you can use in router privilege mode, write memory, or shortcut in router privilege mode, you can use WR. Which command do you recommend?
Right is easy, no?
Huh?
Right.
WR.
Right. WR is easy, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, simple. So same thing. This command, this command, this command, same actually. But the thing is, in exam point of questions, in Cisco certification exam point of questions, we have to use this as a command. Like if you use a question like what is the command to save the configurations permanently? Option A, option A, option B, option C, like option D. Then what is the answer?
Option A.
A is answer. But all are same commands, right? But exam point of questions, you have to use A option actually. Copy command. Practically, you can use WR. So even the practical, I don't recommend this command. You know why? See, this is very lengthy command, right? So when you're executing this command, if any spelling, one spelling is mistake here, habitually in the finger,
Yeah,
if
we'll
any
get
one
that.
spelling mistake, and your router will ask one warning message. I'm going to erase the flash. Generally, we will not read any error message, right? We'll close it or we'll press the proceed enter. If you proceed enter, then iOS file will be erased. Problem. So simply can use WR, no spelling mistakes, nothing. Okay. Yeah. Select to
Well, I have
use.
one doubt.
Yeah.
We have to copy every time we make changes in any password. We have to copy every
Yes.
time.
Yes. 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 Exactly. If we do any modifications in router, you have to save the file. WR command.
Okay.
Yeah. So or you can use copy running config space startup config. You'll ask the destination file name startup config and press enter. It's done. or write command also you can use like this. Yeah, let me share all the configurations commands in
Is there a
chatbot.
possibility?
For what?
Is there a possibility to retrieve the previous configuration?
We can take the backup. We need to take the backup. That's it. If you lost the configurations, we cannot do anything actually. So we need to take
I
the
got
backup files. Yes. See all the configurations I have shared in chart. You can copy over there. Then you can practice it. Right. So a request to everyone, you can design the packet tracer software like this with the two or three setups. Like this is India setup, and like in Hyderabad, Bangalore, like 3 routers you can do it and practice on the 3 routers. And go to file and save the file lab1, lab2, like create one folder.
Can you tell
CCNA.
us something about this application, the Cisco Packet Tracer student, the right and the left screens, what are the components there and how to utilize this?
See this is a cursor, and we can use to move routers, and you can write the note here, like something you want to write the note. You can write the notes like IP address or something, and you want to remove any PCs, like you can use a cross mark. Like if you take a cross mark and click on this, so it will be removed. And if you use Control Z, it'll come back again. Like you want to zoom, you can use a zoom in like this. And the packet verification, like you can use a PDUs for data communication, like how you can use a ping, like one packet on source device, one packet on destination device, and you can see the status is what here failed, right? Why it is failed? Because your port is in, now it is a green color. Now once again, if you check, it's successful. It shows a successful. Like we can check. In the top we have file and options. In options we have the preferences. In preferences, see here always show port labels. If you check it, then a port numbers will be shows which port number is connected, fast ethernet 00, and switch side fast ethernet 0/1, and your PC which port number is connected. The port numbers, I mean labels, will be shows. If you don't want, you can uncheck that. If you uncheck, no labels. Like into font, and you can increase your font size and decrease the font size. The settings. Yeah. We first start doing the practices. You can day by day you can get some information.
Thank you.
Any more doubts?
Balu, actually, we are. It's bit unable to check that. Like 1 minute. Yeah, that workbooks. Is it possible to share your workbook in via email or something?
Yeah, we have through mobile app only. Uh, we prepared the mobile app only, but we don't have any PDFs and any PPTs to share. So present, we developed that app only.
Hello, there's a problem in the app. See, I forgot the password. I tried to reset it again. I got a link to reset, but when I'm trying to reset, it's not working.
You just create a new account and you can use it again.
Yeah, I tried even in that way, still it's not working. I can't log into the app. It says wrong password every time.
Only the possibility is you need to create some new accounts
Okay.
with some other details you can enter and you can get it.
Okay.
Okay. I hope you understand about apps. So today we have discussed about internal components and initial configuration of router. Tomorrow we'll continue with how to configure WAN interface, IP address and WAN technologies and WAN troubleshooting. So those things will continue tomorrow. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Yeah, thanks, Bala.
Thanks to all once again.